Millionaire discovers incredible hidden strength in Maid. With a broken hand, this life-changing encounter will reshape his perspective. Jake Harrington reached for his designer watch, its shine glinting under the blinking lights of his mansion. Another lavish party was in full swing. Laughter floated on the air like sweet perfume. Faces from every corner of the elite cluttered his home, sipping expensive champagne. But Jake felt the eeriness beneath the surface. Something was missing. Wealth surrounded him, yet an undeniable hollowness gnawed at his soul. He shook off the feeling as he slid into his sleek sports car, engine revving like a predator, eager to pounce. Maria Rodriguez, her broken hand wrapped in a makeshift sling, navigated her tiny apartment, a symphony of chaos composed of scattered toys and a week's worth of bills piled high. Her heart raced, not from disappointment but fierce determination. Life hadn't dealt her the best cards. Her husband had left, leaving her wrestling with the harsh realities of single parenthood. Yet each day she donned her armor, fighting for her 2 kids, ensuring their world remained bright. Even with her injury, she would conquer the obstacles life threw her way, a warrior armor of love shielding her spirit. The 2 worlds clashed when Jake hired Maria as a maid. To him, she was another worker, easily replaceable. To Maria, Jake was the stark contrast of everything she strived to be, the epitome of success and ambition. They barely exchanged words as she tidied his home, yet she couldn't ignore the striking loneliness in his eyes. It seemed lost among the glittering decor and extravagant feathers of his lifestyle. An emergency erupted when Jake discovered he needed a mentor for his planned charity event. Panic set in as he saw the storm brewing behind closed doors. His brand was teetering on the edge of a scandal. With no one he could trust, he turned to Maria, the very person he'd overlooked. Initially, he tried to assert dominance, attempting to belittle her suggestions. But Maria, with fire behind her eyes, wouldn't back down. "It's not just about the money, Jake," she asserted, fingers trembling from pain yet strong against the current of judgment. "This community deserves better. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The weight of her words hit Jake hard. He found himself captivated, not by her broken hand or her struggles, but by the strength she embodied. As the days passed, their interactions were fraught with tension, fueled by their vastly different lives. Each time they crossed paths, the invisible walls they built eroded, revealing the peaking light of understanding. Maria's humble resilience began to chip away at Jake's polished facade, forcing him to confront his insecurities that money couldn't shield. And then the storm hit. The scandal exploded, reports flashing across every screen, threatening everything Jake had built. In that moment of desperation, he realized the people he had overlooked were now his lifeline, including Maria. Together, as they faced the chaos, a bond formed like a strong thread woven through their disparate lives, binding everything together. Standing at a precipice, Jake faced a choice: the ease of his wealthy comforts or the raw, messy truth that love and connection didn't require a bank account. Would he embrace an unexpected friendship forged in struggle, or would he retreat into his opulence? The moments unraveled as tears sparkled in Maria's eyes, hopes clashing against uncertainty, leaving readers eager for the next chapter. Jake's heart raced in the aftermath of the scandal. The news cycle was relentless, and Maria's fiery plea echoed in his mind. He stared at his reflection in the car's window, desperately trying to maintain the calm persona of success. But beneath that facade, fear and confusion churned. "Do you want to go public with this?" Maria asked, her voice cutting through his thoughts as she joined him by the car. Genuine concern etched across her face. "People need to know the truth. They'll believe in you again if they see that you care." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "They're not going to care about anything I say. It's all about headlines now. But it doesn't have to be. She stepped closer, her spark of energy a contrast to his heavy demeanor. You can change the narrative. Focus on what matters. Show them your heart. Show them the community matters. A flicker of hope ignited in him, overshadowed by uncertainty. And what if they don't listen? What if I'm just the rich guy trying to fix everything with money? Her eyes softened. Money only buys time, Jake. You have to put in the work. I know you can do it. With each passing moment, her belief in him chipped away his walls. He could see the passion in her eyes, reflecting the spirit he had once lost in his pursuit of wealth. And what about you? How do you fit in this? He asked, suddenly aware of the impact she had on his increasingly chaotic world. I fit where there's change. Maria straightened her back, courage spilling over in her words. No one knows these people like I do. I see them struggle every day. I know what they need to feel valued again. A sense of responsibility connected them in that instance. He wasn't just a millionaire floundering in a scandal. He could be a voice for those in his community. But he needed Maria's guidance. Okay, he said quietly, let us do this together. Days turned into a blur as they mapped out their strategy. Maria's experience with the community influenced Jake's every decision. They hosted meetings in the small neighborhood park, inviting people to voice their concerns. Families began to connect, sharing stories of hardship and resilience. As Maria took charge of these gatherings, he found himself in awe of her ability to inspire. Then, as if the universe noticed their progressing bond, something unexpected happened. The more Maria spoke, the more Jake witnessed her strength shift from mere survival to thriving leadership. He thought of his own life, where money had always been his shield, and that stark comparison fueled admiration. One chilly evening, Maria stood before the crowd, her voice steady and passionate. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're in this together. Our voices can build a brighter future. The crowd erupted in applause, and Jake felt something inside him shift. He wasn't just a spectator. He was part of something grander. As the tension eased, the bond between them deepened, transforming from mere cooperation to a friendship laced with unspoken feelings. One night, while packing up after an event, Jake found himself lingering. Maria, can I ask you something? She paused, looking at him with an openness that made his heart race. Do you think we can really make a difference? Her smile radiated warmth, yet there was a hint of hesitation in her eyes. With determination and the right intentions, we can change everything. Just then, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He pulled it out, eyes widening as he read the alert flashing across the screen. Another scandal. Heavier this time, targeting someone else close to him, someone he had trusted. His stomach twisted. Jake? What's wrong? Maria stepped closer, concern knitting her brow. He swallowed hard. This could ruin everything as the storm of consequences loomed ahead. He glanced at Maria, whose strength was now intertwined with his purpose. Would this new challenge drive them apart or unite them even stronger as they faced the unpredictable wave threatening to crash down? Jake's pulse quickened, and the air felt thick as uncertainty enveloped him. The screen on his phone seemed to mock him, the notification glaring in his hand. His mind raced, darting between panic and a surge of optimism sparked by Maria's presence. Another scandal? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper but firm with resolve. It's about my old business partner. They're saying he's involved in something bad. The words tumbled out, heavy with the weight of his association. He glanced at Maria, but to his surprise, she wasn't backing down. I knew him, Jake. You need to distance yourself, she urged, her brow furrowing with determination. You can't afford more bad headlines. I know, he affirmed, taking a deep breath to steady himself, but he was my friend. And now everyone will think, let them think what they want. But you need to decide who you are, she interrupted, each word like a stone sinking truths into his troubled heart. He lowered his gaze, the evening chill brushing over him. I've spent my life proving I'm successful. Now it looks like all that's falling apart. But what if this is a chance to build something real? Maria countered. Her presence provided him a flicker of hope like a candle in the dark. You can show them who you are, not through power, but through unity. You have the power to lift the community. This is the moment to step up. Slowly, he nodded, feeling the pulse of urgency growing within him. Yeah, but how? First, we need to gather support. Show them you're with us, not against. We need to pull together as a family, reach out to those who still believe in the possible. Renewed determination surged through Jake. With Maria leading the way, they could indeed build something extraordinary from this turmoil, turning his troubled past into the foundation of a hopeful tomorrow. The next days were a whirlwind. They organized more meetings and engaged with neighborhood leaders, devising a community safety plan, trying to demonstrate that progress could triumph over fear. At each gathering, Jake felt his connection with Maria deepen. Her relentless passion painted a brighter picture for the weary faces around them. Maria's voice echoed through the crowded community center one evening, her conviction igniting flames of courage. We lean on each other. If one of us stumbles, we all rise to help. We are the heart of this town. The audience erupted in encouragement. Jake stood beside her, energy pooling in his chest as he beamed at the crowd, feeling finally part of something significant. But uncertainty spun on the horizon. The headlines continued to spiral, dragging Jake's name with them. Just as they began to find their rhythm, another bombshell hit the news wires. This time, it was a video of a past conversation between him and his partner, highlighting potential wrongdoing. "Jake, did you see this?" Maria rushed towards him, her face drained of color. He felt the ground shift beneath him, his mind racing with all the implications. "It looks bad. Doesn't it?" She shook her head, eyes fierce. "No, it only looks like that as long as we let it. We confront it. Together." The surrounding crowd had begun to murmur, more questions than answers rippling through the air. Jake's heart sank again. Every step forward felt like 2 steps back. But Maria's fierce presence anchored him. Those community values she spoke of radiated within him, urging him onward. "Okay," he breathed, meeting her gaze. "Let us confront this head-on." With renewed energy, they made plans for a press conference to address the situation. As he stared back into the window of his struggles, Jake began to believe in the strength of their shared fight. But just as everything began aligning, Jake received an anonymous tip that could change everything. A detail about his partner that shook him to the core. Suddenly, the stakes were higher than ever, and the lingering threat of betrayal hung over him. Could he truly face this storm? Would Maria stand by him as secrets unraveled right at the heart of their new mission? Jake paced the small room, his heart racing as the gravity of the anonymous tip weighed heavily on his shoulders. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting shadows that seemed to dance with uncertainty. Maria stood nearby, her expression tense but resolute, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling within him. "Jake, we need to think clearly. What did the tip say?" she prompted, crossing her arms defensively. He ran a hand through his hair, trying to clear the haze in his thoughts. "It hinted at a deeper involvement, something that could implicate me too." The tremor in his voice betrayed his fear. "If it's true, I could be dragged under with him." Maria took a step closer, her eyes unwavering. "You can't assume the worst. Not when you've worked so hard to turn things around. Remember why we're fighting. This isn't just about you. It's about everyone who believes in this community." Her words wrapped around him like a lifeline, steadying his frantic thoughts. He knew she was right. They had come so far in fostering hope. The last thing he wanted to do was abandon that mission. What if they twist it? What if they make it sound like I knew? He couldn't help but voice the darkness that loomed in his mind. "One step at a time," Maria urged, her voice calm yet firm. "We give the people the truth. Speak honestly. We're not hiding. That's our strength." Taking a deep breath, Jake nodded. "You're right. We can't let fear dictate our actions. Let us face this together." The two of them made a plan. They would present the information at the press conference, using it as an opportunity to clarify misconceptions and show the community that they would not shy away from scrutiny. The clock ticked loudly in the quiet moments of preparation, with each second amplifying the anxiety curling in Jake's stomach. When the day of the press conference arrived, Jake stood beside Maria on the makeshift stage in the community center. A sea of familiar faces staring back at him. The weight of their expectations pressed down hard, but he felt a reassuring squeeze on his shoulder. "Remember," Maria whispered, "you're more than your past." The room fell silent as he stepped up to the mic. He glanced out at the crowd, their hopeful eyes reflecting his own mix of emotions. Fear, yet a burning desire for truth. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice steadying. "I know there is a lot of concern regarding my past partnership. I won't shy away from the truth, but I need to clarify my involvement." He could feel the energy of the room shift, the air charged with anticipation. As he laid out the facts, explaining the troubling details of his partner's actions and how he was unaware until now, he caught a glimpse of Maria's encouraging smile in the corner of his eye. But just as he felt the tide of support building behind him, a loud commotion erupted at the back of the room. A mysterious figure pushed through the crowd, face obscured by shadows. Whispers spilled from the onlookers' lips, a mix of curiosity and fear swirling like a gathering storm. "Stop!" the figure shouted, their voice slicing through the tension like a hot knife. "You're not telling them everything." Jake's heart sank as gasps filled the room. A realization washed over him. Secrets weren't just lurking in the shadows. They were inching toward the spotlight, ready to upend everything he fought for. "Who are you?" he called out, feeling the weight of dread settle into his bones. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face he never expected to see again, one that carried the weight of accusations and history. "It's time for the truth to come out, Jake. And it's not just about your partner." A chill ran through the crowd, and every eye in the room turned toward Jake. He felt the ground beneath him tremble, ready to unravel his carefully constructed world. Would the truth bring unity, or would it tear them apart? As the crowd's murmur rose, Jake braced himself for the incoming storm, realizing this was just the beginning. How many more secrets lay hidden before him, waiting for their moment in the glaring light? Jake's pulse quickened as he faced the figure, a ghost from his past materializing from the shadows. It was Rachel, the very person he thought he'd left behind when he turned his life around. Her presence at that moment felt like a reckless match sizzling near a barrel of fuel. "Rachel, what are you doing here?" His voice barely broke through the chaos enveloping him. "You have to listen to me," she insisted, her tone urgent but tight with emotion. "I know things you don't. Secrets that could change everything." Jake's mind raced. What could she possibly know? They had severed ties for a reason. But the crowd was buzzing now, glancing between him and her, uncertainty painted across their faces. The air was thick with suspense, and he could sense Maria's anxious glance lingering on him. "Secrets? You think you can just walk in here and I'm not trying to disrupt. I'm trying to help. You need to understand the full story," Rachel interrupted, eyes pleading for him to turn away from his anger. Jake felt the weight of his dilemma, the mockery of his past colliding with his present fight for redemption. He briefly scanned the crowd. They were hanging on every word, waiting for clarity. "What could you possibly," he began, but Rachel took a deliberate step forward. "Your partner wasn't working alone. They were connected to something much bigger. And if you don't take this seriously, the truth could destroy everything you built here." A murmur rippled through the audience, and Jake's stomach churned. He couldn't redirect the eyes that bored into him or the hushed tones of fear floating around the room. Their hope rested on him, and he felt like a man staring into an abyss. He hesitated, trusting Rachel could plunge him right back into the life he had fought so hard to escape. Yet the urgency in her voice triggered a flicker of something, a challenge, maybe even a sense of duty. "Why now, Rachel? Why come back?" he inquired, his heart pounding. "I didn't want you dragged into this. The longer I stayed quiet, the greater the danger. But now the stakes are too high. I have information, genuine evidence that could clear your name." The crowd leaned in, and for a moment, a deafening silence blanketed the room. Jake's mind raced with possibilities. Could this really change everything? Or would he be heralding a fresh storm? Jake steeled himself, This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about the community standing behind him, the ones who had relied on his reformation. All right, then, he said, voice strong despite the tremor inside. Tell them what you know. Rachel's eyes widened, then softened. Underneath the layers of familiarity and fears, he could see a flicker of admiration. She took a deep breath, ready to unveil the hidden truth. But before she could begin, a buzzing cell phone interrupted the tension. It broke through the moment like a thunderclap, and Jake's attention snapped back to the crowd, a feeling of urgency washing over him. Suddenly, the energy of the room shifted again. Someone was moving toward the stage. A new face, and with it, another wave of anxiety washed over him. Each heartbeat was a loud reminder that the past didn't just vanish. It lingered, waiting for its moment to strike. Jake faced the crowd, every eye fixed on him. Who else had come with secrets? What truths were yet to unfold? The stakes were spiraling, the chaos just beginning. Whatever revelations were on the horizon, he was prepared to confront them head-on. But then a familiar voice cut through, dramatic and urgent. Jake, you need to know about the deal. He realized then, in that rising tension, that the true fight was just beginning. What did that mean for their future? And who was waiting in the shadows, ready to pull the strings? The truth was on the cusp of revelation, and everything hinged on his next move. Jake's heart raced as he recognized the new voice cutting through the tension. It was Mark, his old friend from the neighborhood. Mark, with his usual confident stride, pulled back the curtain of uncertainty that clung to the room. What do you mean, Mark? What's the deal? Anxiety danced in Jake's chest, each word heavier than the last. The crowd shifted, their eyes darting from him to Mark, the weight of the moment tightening around them like a noose. Mark stepped closer, his expression serious. I wish there was an easy way to say this, Jake, but the company you think you can trust is playing you. They're not just involved in shady business deals. They're mixed up with some dangerous people. And if you don't take action soon, they'll throw you under the bus. A chill crept up Jake's spine. Dangerous people? Yeah. You're not just fighting for your reputation anymore. They'll get rid of anyone who stands in their way. Even you, Jake. Mark's eyes sharpened, searching Jake's for a sign of understanding. I'm not trying to scare you, but you need to know the truth before it's too late. That familiar mix of dread and determination welled up in Jake. He could feel the panic in the room swirling like a storm, growing stronger with every second that passed. Rachel stood still, her breath held, as if the words exchanged in that moment could unleash a firestorm. Jake took a deep breath, forcing himself to maintain his composure. The weight of suspicion and disbelief hung heavily in the air, and he had to make a move. Rachel, you said you had evidence. Now's the time. She nodded slowly, her eyes revealing the depth of her inner turmoil. If we go public with this information, we could expose them. But that might put us all at risk. The murmurs grew more pronounced, with faces contorting in fear and confusion. Could they really take that step? Felt like standing on a precipice, peering down into a void. What other choice do we have? Jake shot back, frustration boiling over. With every second, the fear of losing his newfound life clawed at him. Hiding one get us anywhere. If these people want to drag us down, we need to beat them to the punch. Mark's expression shifted. You're right. We go in hard and we expose their involvement. But we'll need help. I can reach out to some contacts. Wait, Rachel interjected, urgency flashing in her eyes. There's one thing I haven't mentioned. If we act now, we'll have to confront someone in the company directly. It's not just the reputation that's at stake. It's our lives. Then we do it. Jake felt an unexpected resolve harden within him. The sense of power coursed through him once more. I'm not letting them take anything else from me, not my past, not my present. I refuse to be a pawn in their game. The crowd's tension began to electrify, flickers of hope igniting amidst the fear. Jake could hear whispers of determination from their faces. They were with him, ready to take that leap. Rachel stepped forward, the weight of their shared history pressing on her shoulders. If we're going to do this, we need a plan, a careful strategy. No more missteps. Mark nodded, that spark of familiarity returning to his face. Absolutely. But we need to move fast. They won't wait for us to make our move. The room hummed with anxious anticipation. Jake glanced at the faces around him, allies bound by a shared sense of purpose. This was their moment. But as Jake prepared to rally them, a piercing sound distracted him. The unmistakable echo of sirens in the distance growing louder with every heartbeat sent a jolt of panic through him. What is that? Someone whispered, eyes wide. Jake felt the cold grip of reality settle in. Time was running out. They had to uncover the truth quickly, or everything they worked for would shoot through their fingers like sand. Let us go, Jake commanded, voice steady, though his heart thudded like a drum. Whatever's coming, we face it together. They moved, a collective force ready to uncover the secrets that could either save them or bury them alive. Jake wasn't ready to lose everything again. Not when freedom and justice were so close. But as the sirens grew nearer, an unsettling thought pierced through him. Could they really trust each other in this fight? Had they stepped into a battle that was bigger than any of them? Each step felt heavier as they approached the truth, a shadow lurking just beyond their reach. What awaited them on the other side? The sirens grew closer, a cacophony that forced Jake's heart to race even faster. He could feel the tension in the air thickening, a potent mix of fear and determination feeding the fire in his chest. Simon, we need to get moving, he urged, trying to sound more confident than he felt. The group surged forward, each of them jolted into action by the urgency of the situation. Rachel stayed at Jake's side, breathing heavily, her face a mask of resolve mingled with uncertainty. Do you know where we're going? She asked, her voice low, laced with a hint of panic. Not exactly, Jake admitted, his mind racing. He scanned the dimly lit room, thinking about their next move. They needed to think strategically. But I know we need to get to my car and get out of here. We can figure things out on the way. Mark pushed past a few bodies, leading the charge towards the side exit. Follow me, he shouted, pushing against the swell of anxious faces. The crowd split around him like a river, and Jake felt a flash of gratitude for the old friendship they shared. Mark was taking the lead, and that made Jake feel a little steadier. As they neared the exit, the sound of the sirens surged, echoing off the walls and sending a ripple of fear through everyone. What if they're here for us? Someone whispered from the back, a tremor in their voice. They won't be looking for us yet, Jake replied, forcing a steeliness into his voice he didn't entirely feel. We still have the element of surprise. The door slammed open, and a rush of cold air hit them, sharp and invigorating. Outside, the world felt unnaturally still, the distant chaos behind them contrasting starkly with their seemingly quiet escape into the night. They could hear the sirens louder now, almost like a countdown to a reckoning they couldn't avoid. Jake led Rachel and Mark around the side of the building, glancing back at the entrance they had just slipped through. He could almost feel the weight of eyes resting on him, a looming dread that gnawed at his resolve. Get to the car, he urged. I'll be right behind you. The three of them dashed into the shadows, hearts pounding in unison as they scrambled to reach the parking lot. Jake's mind was a whirlwind of possibilities, each worse than the last. What if they were caught? What if Rachel's evidence never saw the light of day? Fear wrapped around him like a shroud, but he steeled himself for what lay ahead. Almost there, Rachel shouted, her voice breaking through his internal chaos. Jake glanced over his shoulder, spotting Mark securing their exit as he kept watch. When they reached the car, Jake's hands fumbled with the key, his nerves amplifying his anxious movements. Hurry! Rachel's voice rang out, taut with urgency. Finally, the engine roared to life. Let us go. Jake pressed the pedal to the floor, not looking back. The tires squealed as they tore away from the curb, the building fading into the rearview mirror. Silence enveloped them for a moment, but it was more terrifying than the sirens. The weight of what they had just done seeped into the air. Rachel leaned back in her seat, the tension in her shoulders gradually easing. We made it for now. Jake nodded, but inside, his mind raced. We have to get to a safe place and figure out our next move. I won't let them intimidate us. Whatever they've done, it's time to bring it to light. But just as he was about to outline their plan, the flicker of headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. And they were coming fast. "Jake, look out!" Rachel shouted. The car jerked to the side as Jake focused on the road, adrenaline surging through him. He had no idea who was chasing them but knew one thing for sure. They were still in danger. As he swerved onto an old dirt road, a thought struck him like lightning. Were they making a monstrous mistake by pushing forward like this? "Hang on," he called out, gripping the wheel tighter, his knuckles ghostly white. The night was about to become a whole lot darker. Would they find the strength to confront what was coming? Or was this just the beginning of a much deeper, insidious game? The headlights closed in faster, illuminating the gravel ahead like a beacon of impending doom. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the pursuers had a plan, a specific target. Was it them? Was their escape merely a fleeting moment before the noose tightened? "Are they still behind us?" Mark shouted from the back seat, his voice edged with panic. Jake didn't dare look. "Just keep driving. We can't let them catch up." Rachel's hand gripped the dashboard, her knuckles white. "You need to find a way to lose them." Panic surged in her voice, making Jake's heart race even more. He felt the pressure of their fear piling on top of his own. "Yeah, just hold on," he yelled back, searching for options through the dusty haze. This old dirt road wound ahead like a serpent, overgrown weeds brushing against the sides of the car. It was hard to see where it led, but he had no choice. Every second counted, and so did every decision. Jake glanced at the rearview mirror. The pursuing car still came on strong, barreling down the road like a hunting predator. He could make out the silhouette of a dark sedan creeping closer. "We need to find another turn before they catch up," he thought. Suddenly, the path twisted sharply to the right, vanishing into a wall of trees. Without hesitating, Jake swung the wheel and felt the car lurch. They jolted as the tires lost grip for a split second before gaining purchase on the winding track. The treetops gnarled overhead like dark giants guarding their secrets. In the midst of the chaos, Rachel reached out. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice shaky yet defiant. "Get ready to jump out if we need to," Jake shot back. "We might have to run." It felt like a desperate, half-formed plan. Fear thrummed through him. He had no guarantee they could outrun whoever was chasing them. Mark leaned forward, his expression filled with grave determination. "Just keep pushing forward. We'll find a way out," he said, and it lit a tiny flicker of hope inside Jake's chest. The car bounced along the uneven ground, flying over potholes that seemed to reach up from the earth to snag them. Moments later, headlights blinked ominously behind them, breaking their fleeting sense of safety. The pursuing sedan had not only kept up, it had gained ground. With every curve Jake navigated, his mind raced with memories of how they ended up here. Rachel's evidence had been explosive, a key that could unlock a world that needed exposing. But at what cost? What were they willing to sacrifice to ensure it saw the light of day? "Jake, a road up ahead," Mark shouted. A faint glimmer was visible, a path that led away from the main dirt track. Jake's heart skipped. This was it, the moment to choose a different fate. "Hang on," he yelled, steering hard toward the escape route. As they veered onto the narrower path, the trees closed in on them, branches clawing at the roof of the car as if they were trying to hold onto them. It felt like a scene from a movie, tense, edge of your seat, with their supposedly safe exit crumbling behind them. But just as the headlights flickered into the night, they heard a crash. The sound of metal on metal. They turned to see the pursuing car lose control as it attempted the same maneuver. Their respite was short-lived. The cries of tension slammed into Jake's heart. Did they crash? Rachel gasped, a mixture of relief and anxiety coloring her tone. "I don't know, but we can't stop," Jake urged, focusing on the winding road ahead. The thrill of survival mixed with the fear of the unknown. As they pressed deeper into the thick woods, they caught a glimpse of a faint flicker through the trees, a light, a sign of life amidst the chaos. Was that a cabin? "Jake, Up ahead, Mark shouted, hope threading through his words. Let us go. It might be our only chance. Jake pushed the accelerator, his heart racing not just from fear but the thrill of possibility. Would a sanctuary be waiting for them, or was it another trap? As the light drew nearer, they all held their breaths, wondering if they were veering towards safety or deeper trouble. And just as they reached for the glimmer of hope, Jake could not shake the feeling that something or someone was lurking in the shadows, waiting for its moment to strike. Are you ready for this? He whispered to himself, the weight of uncertainty heavy in the air. What lay behind that door could change everything. As they barreled closer to the cabin, the outline of the structure began to materialize, an old building cloaked in darkness, its windows dim but intact. Jake's pulse quickened. It looked abandoned, but that didn't mean it was safe. They couldn't afford to slow down, not now. Go, go, Rachel urged, her voice trembling but fierce. Get in there. Jake shot forward, the tires screeching against the gravel as he skidded to a halt just outside. He turned off the engine, and a heavy silence enveloped them, broken only by their rapid breaths. The darkness felt alive, exuding tension that clung to their skin. Stay low, Jake instructed, hoping their instinct to hide would keep them safe if someone was watching. He opened the door first, stepping into the night, and the chill of the air bore down on him like an unwelcome shroud. Mark followed, glancing over his shoulder with every nerve frayed. What if they find us? He looked around, his eyes wide. We should have kept driving. Maybe it's safe in there, Rachel said, her voice laced with doubt. Still, she moved swiftly toward the cabin's door, her fingers trembling just slightly as she reached for the weathered handle. Jake hesitated, torn between the unpredictability of the cabin and the potential safety of staying hidden in the trees. But there was no time for hesitation. The pursuing car might be incapacitated, but it wouldn't be long before its occupants rallied. Adrenaline kicked in, and he sprinted to catch up with Rachel and Mark, his feet crunching against the dried leaves as he moved. The door creaked open. They piled inside, gulping down the stale air infused with dust and age. The interior enveloped them in darkness, but a flicker of moonlight illuminated the outline of scattered furniture and old crates. Felt eerie, like stepping into a ghost story. Is anyone here? Rachel called softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The stillness seemed to mock her inquiry, drawing them deeper into the cabin's shadows. Let's check for weapons, anything we can use, Jake suggested, his mind racing. They needed more than just their fear. They needed a plan and to arm themselves with something, anything. As they fanned out, Jake pressed against the back wall, his heart pounding. He scanned the area, looking for a hidden compartment or some remnants of safety. A rusty old lantern caught his eye, and he reached down to pick it up. It felt heavy in his hands, a small comfort against the uncertainty surrounding them. Mark found a small knife in a dusty drawer and held it aloft like a trophy. This will do, he said, a mix of pride and anxiety flashing across his face. Rachel wandered toward the windows, peeking out through the grimy glass. If they come, we can see them first, she whispered, fear knitting her brow. She was right. All they could do was wait and hope they had bought themselves some time, lives hanging in the balance. With every creak of the old house, tension built like a storm cloud ready to burst. They huddled together, not quite trembling but definitely afraid, waiting for the next move in a dangerous game they never chose to play. The flickering lantern cast wavering shadows over their faces, capturing their fear, hope, and a desperation that pounded in the silence. Just then, a sound from outside, a faint rustling followed by the crunch of gravel. Heart racing, Jake turned toward the sound, muscles coiling tighter within him. Was it the pursuers? Had they found them already? We have to stay quiet, Rachel urged, her lips pressed together tightly. Jake nodded, holding his breath. Every moment felt stretched, like the stillness before an avalanche. What would happen next? Would they find safety? Or would this cabin become their tomb? His eyes darted toward the door, every instinct screaming that danger was close. What might walk through that entrance next? Fear and hope intertwined as the tension reached a breaking point. And just then, The door creaked open slowly, revealing a shadowy figure silhouetted against the moonlight. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a shadowy figure silhouetted against the moonlight. Jake's heart stopped. His instincts screamed to hide, yet every muscle felt frozen in place. "Who's there?" Rachel whispered, her voice barely above a breath. The silence swallowed her words as the figure stepped forward, illuminating itself with the lantern's weak glow. Jake squinted, the edges of his vision blurring from fear and exhaustion. "Jake? Is that you?" A rush of recognition flooded him, warm and surprising. "Sophia?" Jake exclaimed, disbelief painting his features as a figure from his past. The neighbor's daughter emerged from the darkness. "What are you doing here?" Mark asked, confusion dancing across his face. "I was out looking for you. I overheard things about your partner. I knew there were whispers. Thought I could help." Sophia's earnest gaze swept across the room, landing on each of them in turn. "I brought someone who can clear it all up." Jake exchanged incredulous glances with Rachel and Mark. "Who? We need answers now." His heart raced anew, the weight of urgency festering in the air. She stepped aside, and to Jake's shock, a woman walked in, a determined glare igniting her eyes. "Amara. I work in investigative journalism," she said, rapidly sizing up the situation with instinctive awareness. "I've been tracking this for months. Your partner's connections run deep. You're not safe." "No kidding," Jake muttered, the dread settling deeper as he considered the domino effect of their situation. Mara brushed her hair back, intensity reflecting in her every word. "If you want to expose this once and for all, we need to act now. I have evidence that can turn the tide, but it's all about timing." Jake's pulse hammered. "How do we expose them?" "The press is already sniffing around. We arrange a meeting, but we must clarify your position first and confront this head-on." She paused, her bobbing presence holding a weight of unspoken drama. "If they smell fear, they'll bury you." He felt the flame of determination igniting within. "What do we need to do?" "Gather all your evidence. Share exactly what you know." A burst of adrenaline surged through him, igniting purpose. "We can do this." Jake felt the collective resolve around him, a wave of commitment binding them together. "First, we need the community behind you. They can't take you down if you're united," Mara pushed with urgency. "We need to act quickly before they close ranks. Let us do it." Jake turned to Rachel and Mark, their faces reflecting his determination. "Spread the word, and let us organize." Rachel jumped in, her words laced with hope. "We can rally the community. They need to know the truth." Jake's heart soared as he exchanged glances with each of them. "We're stronger together. We can change this." Within moments, they began forming a plan. Jake felt every heartbeat synchronizing with a single purpose: to bring down the corruption his past had intertwined with, to become the voice of the community he had almost failed. Hours later, they spread the news, reaching out to everyone they could. The faces of the families from his new life painted the town. Their fears, their stories together, they painted a hopeful mural against the dark backdrop they defaced. Gathering in the old community center, each person represented renewed energy. Hope shimmered in their eyes as Jake stood at the front, scanning the crowd that now included familiar faces, old friends, and newfound supporters. "I stand before you not just as a businessman, but as a neighbor, as someone who has stumbled, but is determined to rise. With all of you behind me, we can expose the truth," Jake declared. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices encouraging and echoing against the walls, louder than the sirens of his past. But just as exuberance reached its peak, a heavy mist of uncertainty settled over Jake. The looming danger from his partner was still present. They couldn't let their guard down. "We need to be ready. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about each of you." Cheers erupted again, and he took a deep breath, gathering courage from their support. He turned to Mara, whose eyes mirrored his newfound sense of purpose. "What's our next step?" "Expose them, but also prepare for backlash. They will retaliate," she warned, her voice steady, a grounding force amid the swelling chaos. With every word he let out under the soft glow of the community center lights, Each exhale built momentum. They rallied together, planning an approach for a press release. Days passed in a flurry of meetings and calls, their resolve solidifying into unyielding strength. Then the day came. With Hillary from the local news station across town and the community standing strong, Jake stood before the cameras, his heart racing as he faced the growing crowd. He took one last look into the sea of faces, their determination boosting his resolve. Today we speak the truth, united as a community. We have the power to rise above fear and corruption. We have hope, he shouted. The crowd erupted, a tidal wave of encouragement pushing him onward. Allies at the ready, the truth unfolded like a symphony. Headlines flipped as his words didn't just speak. They roared against adversity. As people gathered into a chorus of resilience, others in their community echoed through the press release, aching for the truth like wolves signaling the moon. When the media swarmed like a choir ignited by flame, Jake felt a weight lift. No longer was he isolated in his wealth. He was enveloped in support, a family formed through shared struggles and triumphs. The community stood witness, and it felt beautiful and right. They would get through this together. Hopeful faces surrounded Jake, smiles breaking through the weight of the last weeks. Each beat of their collective strength pulsed as unity redefined them. Together they would forge onward, forever changed by this experience. With the camera clicking in rhythm around him and the wind rustling through trees, Jake couldn't help but believe in the power of connection. In the aftermath of the chaos, amidst the standing crowds, he felt something click inside, a transformation steered not by wealth, but the bonds forged through adversity. After all, it wasn't just a community they aimed to uplift. It was themselves. As he gazed over the ebullient crowd and radiant Maria stood beside him, Jake knew they were rewriting their fates. And as the sun dipped low, coloring the sky in gold, they would push forward, deeper into the heart of hope, hand in hand. Now, I urge you, don't miss the journey ahead. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this powerful message alive. Comment your feelings about this inspiring transformation, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this new beginning. This is the moment to show your support. Your actions matter, so don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our community through these actions.